Welcome back to the Lost Artistry Lash channel. I'm Caitlin and I am here with the beautiful Rebecca today, another educator of ours here at Lost Artistry, and today we're going to be busting some lash myths.
I had to say that with you.
I love it. Okay, what myths are we going to be busting, Rebecca?
All right, so we're going to be busting 4 myths today, and our first myth to bust is, drumroll please, a cat eye lash design looks good on everyone.
Ooh, spicy.
So, unpopular opinion, but I think a cat eye lash design should be used very sparsely and only looks good on maybe like 10% of people.
I think that's even generous.
Yeah, I think it's generous too, yeah.
Where the very last, like the outer corner lashes have the longest lengths, almost never.
Very little people.
Unless someone has eyes that are like cats and they go up.
Yes, agreed.
Then you can go crazy. That's the, just use it while you can.
Use and abuse.
Yes,
yeah.
I completely agree.
You agree?
I think it droops most people's eyes down, and you have to be really strategic with your mapping. So here's the trick. I like to do this little hack, okay? So this is a traditional cat eye map, and this is a cat eye map that works on most people. It's not actually called the cat eye mapping, but it looks like a cat eye set.
I love it.
So you create a cat eye look without doing a cat eye mapping. So what I do for that, it's very simple. I have so many techniques on this, Kate, but I'm gonna focus on just one today because it's really cool and it does truly look very cat eye-esque.
Okay.
And it looks good on everyone, mostly everyone. So here's an example of a set I did with it. Do you guys like it? And what I do is I utilize a squirrel eye mapping that looks like this, but instead of directing everything up, I direct everything out. So my longest length might go quite far in, close to actually the arch of the eye, which is kind of crazy, because you'd never think that would create a cat eye look. But my direction is so exaggerated outward that I'm creating a sultry look, but keeping the eye lifted.
I love it.
And then I jump right back down on the outer corner in lengths, but get this, I also manipulate my direction upward on the very outer corner lashes. So what it does is it lifts the outer corner up, holding that sweep high. And that works on everyone. So you can give them a cat eye look without actually giving them a cat eye mapping.
That is genius. And you're also lifting so much of the eye because you're lifting at that high point of the eye naturally too.
Yeah, and then blending curls too is another one, which we're not gonna get into today, but it will change your designs so much. Working with the lifts and tilts of the eye.
Oh, so excited.
All right, what's number 2?
Myth number 2, some people just can't make a handmade fan.
That's such a bad myth.
I know, I think it's a bad myth
That's
too.
a sad one, actually.
I feel like it makes me sad. Yeah, it makes me sad too.
Do you know why it makes me sad? I feel like it really hits home for me because I really beat myself up for a lot of years thinking that I couldn't make a handmade fan at all. And that's actually, I'm happy that I had that experience because it actually led me to starting Lost Artistry because I was so connected to pre-made fans that, because I felt like I couldn't make my own fans, but I really wanted to give my clients volume that was beautiful and style, like you could style them and stuff. So it was a great tool for me and something that I really needed at that time, and luckily it brought me to where I am today. But that doesn't change the fact that, wait, I should go back here and say, the first product we ever carried at Lost Artistry was pre-mades. We only had pre-mades.
I remember that. That's what I think of when I think of Lost Artistry. I think of your YouTube channel and I think of your pre-made fans.
Yeah, because we actually completely changed the pre-made fan industry, and I say that in the most.
Yeah, you did.
I'm not trying to boast or anything, but I actually designed pre-mades that were not ever seen before, and we were the first company in North America to ever sell pre-mades. So we know what we're talking about when it comes to pre-mades.
That's incredible. You need to boast about that. Like that's huge. It's groundbreaking.
It was really awesome and it really expedited our growth for sure. But when it comes to handmade fanning, I don't know what your experience has been, but for me, learning about products was huge because I realized that I was using all the wrong products and tweezers too, and using the right technique, but I didn't realize that I was using the right technique and that my products were wrong. And that was really standing in my way. It wasn't until I understood that the structure of your fiber, here's actually a little photo of the structure of lash fibers. So let's look at our standard volume, for example. The structure of the lash is there's more to it. And it doesn't start to taper until the very tips. Versus if you look at our ultra dark, on the opposite end, it starts to taper right at the base. So although the diameter is the same for both of these, they act very functionally different. So I learned through really understanding products that if a lash fiber tapers at the very base and then gets really skinny at the top, it's more suitable for open fans because there's so much room between the fibers in the package that they'll just fall open for you. That's when people say it fans like butter, that's what they're referring to. They don't realize that they're talking about the fiber, but they are.
Got it.
So our ultra dark and our matte, actually, it's kind of like an in-between. And those will open effortlessly for you. So that really helps you fan.
Awesome. That is so helpful.
Yeah, but
I wish I knew that as a beginner.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, whenever we do trainings, people come in there and even though we don't call it a handmade volume in-person class, our advanced in-person class that we teach all over the world, we don't call it that, but we know it'll take us 5 minutes to teach someone how to fan because we know how to teach the technique. It's easy. Once you know the technique, it's easy. And then if you have the right products, it's effortless. So we teach people to fan all the time in that course in minutes. And they're like, this whole time, and then they're hooked on those
lashes,
products. Yeah, and they're like, wow, I had no idea that it wasn't necessarily me. It was
the products being used.
The products, it'll make or break. You're only as good as the tools you have. And that is actually true. I kind of thought that was like a marketing ploy for companies for a really long time.
I thought that too, but it's not definite. I've seen the difference of using products that just weren't helpful. Like you could work with any product, but it just makes your life so much more difficult.
That's exactly right. And I love that too. Like the most talented technician can make anything work. But that doesn't mean that it's easy. It comes easy. You have to really be able to play around with it. But that really comes with the knowledge, like a really deep understanding of your craft. But anyhow, when we look at the structure of our standard line, these are obviously all Lost Artistry lash products. And the standard line is the thickness at the tips too, that structure of the lash being so much more. That is more ideal for someone who's rolling their fans. So if you fan off the strip, you want structure in order to roll. Otherwise, they'll kind of fall apart. Like they'll kind of like, and then they kind of like plop open. Or for wet lashing, it's easy to just pick up because they will stay in there. There's more to stay compact. Okay, so I guess to kind of summarize, I don't know if you have anything to add to this, but
I think you covered everything really perfectly.
I really went for it.
Yeah, you did. I love it.
Yeah, I really felt passionate about that topic because I really did beat myself up a lot about that for a lot of years, and focused a lot of my efforts on figuring out why. But yeah, so the truth is, some people, maybe they have no interest in learning handmade volume, and there's no shame in that either. That's what pre-mades are for.
Exactly.
And they've come a long way, and there's no shame. If you don't want to learn it, you don't have to. But can you? Yes.
I think this leads us perfectly into our next myth, because it's on this topic. But the myth is, pre-made fans aren't customizable.
Do people really still think that?
Come on. So pre-made fans, I used to think this. I used to think that they weren't customizable at all. And I actually strayed away from them because I was like, it's making my set look too universal, and I felt like I couldn't be creative with my sets. But the fact is, they are totally customizable.
All the way.
So one of my favorite tips to do with customizing pre-mades is actually removing a fiber from a pre-made. So let's say...
Oh, like you turn a 60 into like a 40 or
Exactly. Let's say I want to work with like a narrow fan pre-made. And in one area, you want to make it a little less dense. You could literally just peel away the lash fibers from that pre-made, and that's like one of my favorite ways to do it. How about you?
Yeah. I don't do that, but I also recognize, I see people do that, and I think it's really creative. I'm really blessed and lucky because I have a warehouse with so many pre-made fans at my fingertips, but I recognize that some people don't have that. So you could literally buy a 60 and pull it in half and have 2 3D fans, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't obviously have to do that because of where I work and where I lash.
Exactly.
But what I do is This is another thing. I'm all intense on like why everything. And I understand that every shape of fan creates such a different look. So in certain areas, I might need a wide fan because my client has a gap.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I know the products well enough that I know that tells me I need a wide fan. So I'm gonna use either short stem or mid stem in low diameters, high dimensions to cover, even if it's just 3 in a set.
Perfect.
And my biggest thing is that I blend different dimensions together. So I always, 100% of always, have 3Ds on my station. And I use the 3Ds, I have them on my station all the time because they're really good for the weaker natural lashes. Because if you're expecting to do 6D in pre-mades, in like 0.07 diameter on every single client's natural lashes, you can guarantee you're gonna do damage at some point. You can't really do that. You have to kind of use them as if they're handmade fans. So on weaker natural lashes, you use low dimensions. 3Ds are great. You can throw them in any set, even mega volume. Just throw some in there on the baby lashes. And then I will have a mix. Like I think you need to have maybe a 3D fan on hand, something like a 4 or 5D, and then also a mega fan, like mega volume of some sort. And then you have a little bit of each and you can kind of work with them and blend them all together. Yeah, I think that's huge. And then also having long stem versus short stem or mid stem is big because your short stem and your mid stem are wide, but your long stem are narrow. So you kind of do have to have a little bit of both of those in case you want more structure, like a closed fan, or if you want more fluffiness from a big fan. But you really only need to have like 3 dimensions on hand in order to really customize them. And then a lot of people don't know too that you can mix them with classics or with wet lash fans, which I do all the time, or even with handmade fans.
Yeah, I was just gonna say handmade fans as well.
Yeah, I teach my students this. I'm like, when you're learning handmade volume, there's a 0% chance in the beginning you're gonna be able to get through your set in a timely manner without feeling stressed when you're hand making fans in the beginning, because it is tedious, it takes time to learn. So you can do, let's say, half your set in pre-made fans and then half your set in handmade.
That's a really great way to go about it.
Yeah, and then you slowly teeter out the pre-mades, like, okay, I'm now doing a half of my, a little like extra 10 minutes of handmade, and then I'm doing an extra 20 minutes, and then before I know it, I'm a handmade artist and I didn't stress at all.
That's like training wheels, like on a bike.
Yeah,
like, you know, you use it until you can wean off of it. I like that. That's awesome. So well explained.
Are they customizable?
They are definitely customizable.
If you guys want mappings, check out our mapping booklet. We teach you so many different ways to customize your lash sets with either handmade or pre-made. They're totally interchangeable.
This booklet is so helpful and it teaches you the most intricate designs as well, so you won't regret that. So this concludes Mythbusters with Caitlin and myself, Rebecca. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, comment your thoughts down below, like this video.
And if you liked today's myth-busting topic and you want to see part 2, 3, 4, 5, 67, please do comment below. We take your feedback so seriously and want to feed you the content that you like seeing.
Yes, exactly. And also, if you have any like myths you want us to bust, comment them down below.
See you next one.
Bye.